This is the Dallas Prospect Live with DDP. Every legend was once a prospect. The Dallas Prospect is funded by viewers like you through Patreon and PayPal. To support the show, visit patreon.com/the Dallas Prospect or become a member by clicking the join button. Now let the show begin.
Try this out real quick.
You got it?
All right. What is up, everybody? This is Darreck Kirby. This is the Kirby Create podcast, and I am joined today by two good dudes that I have worked with a fair bit on collaborations in the past. I'm sure if you've seen their channel, I don't even have to introduce them. This is Sean and Josh from the Sports Fury, one of probably, I would say, the most popular watch party channels on YouTube, really. I mean, I think that seems fairly safe to say at this point. You guys have done an incredible job in just a few short years. Guys, how are you doing?
Hey, we're doing great, Darreck. It's great to be back, man.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. And thanks for that lovely little introduction.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
sure.
Yeah, not a problem at all. It's always good to talk with you guys and everything, and to figure out different things. You guys are on, like, I swear it's like 4 or 5 nights a week, it seems like, or 4 or 5 games at the very least. I don't know how you guys do it. It's really incredible, the work ethic and everything, to that extent, where you guys are playing the back-to-backs, even the double headers in that regard. Like, I've only done a few watch parties myself, and I've been drained after a single game. I don't know how you guys immediately roll into the next and keep that energy going.
Oh, I have to credit. I think it's a little bit of us pushing each other. It makes it a little easier having Josh over here with his craziness and loud and all that, and just I think we feed off of each other just as much as we do with the chat, obviously. But I think that helps a lot.
Absolutely. Just love doing this. Absolutely love doing this. And we could go live for hours. We've been live. We're live multiple times throughout the week for 3 hours, 4 hours, every single game. We'll go live for about 15 minutes before a game. We'll stay live for almost an hour after the game, just hanging out with everyone.
Yep.
Because that's what we feed off, man. The energy of everyone coming to the live stream and talking with us. We get them involved into the channel by reacting to what they're saying in the comment sections. Sometimes we do live call-ins or whatever.
Yep.
We just like feeding off the people, man. The energy, it's incredible. And as soon as we're done live stream, I just can't wait for the next day to go live again and do it all over, because it just never gets old. Never.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you guys were launching, did you always have the idea that you were going to cover more than just, like, I know the main probably 2 sports obviously are NFL and NBA, but you guys also cover, I've seen you guys do MLB, UFC, WWE, like, you guys really do just cover everything. Like, your name is very apt in this case, the Sports Fury. It's not just singular to a particular sport or 1 or 2 sports in that regard. Was that always the vision there? Yes,
absolutely. Some people don't know this, but I actually started a YouTube channel before the Sports Fury. Back in 2015, I wanted to do something, and I kind of just like rushed things, and I started doing was making wrestling content because I loved wrestling. I was going to WrestleMania 31, and within a month, by the time I got back from WrestleMania 31, I was pretty bored just talking wrestling. Even though I love wrestling, I can't just talk wrestling. So so I decided to scrap that, go back to the drawing board, and in doing a sports channel, I didn't want to cover Chicago sports. Didn't want to do Bears and Bulls and the Cubs or whatever, because as much as I love those teams, I love watching the NFL, love watching NBA, and so from the very beginning, it was like, no, we're gonna make it all inclusive, all different types of sports, because just can't talk about just our teams.
Yeah. Now, that's an interesting dynamic, too, in that regard. You guys, obviously, Josh, you're both wearing your hats, so it makes sense. The Bears fan and the Cowboys fan in that regard, I think it gives a fresh kind of perspective, because you're able to avoid, I guess, that kind of assumption of bias. I mean, obviously, when it's your teams in the game, sure, but it gives a little bit more of a honest take, I think, is how people kind of view that. They don't see it and think, oh, well, this is just Cowboy fans bashing the Eagles because that's the game they're watching or something like that. It's a little bit more open with it, a little better balance. where did you guys, I guess, know each other from previously? Did you like go to school together, work together before? I don't, I guess, know that aspect of how that kind of came to be.
Yeah, we didn't go to school together or work together. We actually met each other playing sports.
Yeah.
And I was mainly playing basketball, actually. A mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
I went to school with this guy, and Josh had been playing with him for years, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, Sean, you should come up. It was like my senior year, and he was like, hey, you should come up to the court, play basketball. And I didn't really play basketball growing up.
No, he didn't.
I didn't.
No.
I only played football. And so I was like, but I like to compete. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll come up there. And I showed up, and I was terrible.
Yeah, he was. Absolutely was. But I didn't stop him from talking crap.
Oh, no.
Because he was talking crap to me like right from the get-go. And that's because I like to talk a lot of trash when I'm playing basketball. And I could back it up too. So I started talking trash to Sean, and I just really started dogging him and his skills and the lack of the amount of games he would play in a given night, because he wouldn't get picked up sometimes.
I'd be dropped every time. I'm not gonna lie.
And what I respected about him was that he was able to take those jokes and not get offended and crack jokes back with us, because like Sean said, I've been playing with these guys for years, like 5 years before Sean ever came along.
Yep.
And when Sean showed up, even though he sucked, he came out every single night, and it was like an event every single day.
Yeah,
we would play basketball. We played full court games, and it was just a great group of guys, a whole lot of us, and we would just talk trash and crack jokes, and it was just a fun place to be. And Sean just became one of the guys. Yeah, pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I do want to point out I did get better though.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I don't want to say like I was terrible the whole time. I did get better, but because that's how I am. Even when I'm bad at something, I just love to compete and eventually put in the work, and get better. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
As long as Sean wasn't the one that caused the infamous ankle roll that stopped you from going pro, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
I could have gone pro.
I have heard that little bit of Fury lore. So yeah. So at one point, you'd mentioned the previous wrestling channel and that. I think you also once told me that you, before starting Sports Fury, had actually considered a film channel, like a film sort of review channel. Was that something that was just like an inkling of an idea, or was that something you were actually taking a look at before coming back to sports? Right.
So when I went back to the drawing board and said, okay, I know I want to do YouTube, but I got to get more focus of what I want to do, because I didn't flesh out any kind of channel or anything like that when I just jumped into wrestling. So I didn't want to make that mistake again. So I wanted to do something that I can, where I can talk about a particular subject and not ever get bored with it, and just love it and just always find something new to talk about.
Yep.
And I came up with a few good ideas that I really fleshed out. And one of those was a film and TV show review channel where I would talk about movies and TV shows and anything in pop culture, and retro stuff, nostalgic things. And because I love talking movies and TV shows and that's something that really interests me. So I thought about doing that. And then I had another idea. And then the other one was a sports channel.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I'm going to do a sports channel, it's going to be all sports. And I would only do it if Sean would do it, because when we would play basketball at the end of each night, sometimes me and Sean would be the only ones there, and we would talk about, wouldn't it be cool if we had a radio show of our own, a podcast or something like that? That'd be really cool. So when I thought of the sports show, I'm like, okay, I'll only do this if Sean's willing to do it. And if not, then I'll go do either the other idea or the film review channel. Yeah. And when I pitched it to Sean, he said, yeah, I'm down. And I was like, okay, cool. So we went with the sports channel. And again, if he hadn't said yes, then I would have went with that other one.
Yeah. Me and Josh, at that time I had lived in Austin. Yeah. And he lived here in Dallas. So it was like, we already talked on the phone all the time about sports all the time. Even not just when we played basketball, when I moved away, we kept in touch. We stayed really good friends. This guy's like my brother. And so, we talk all the time for hours about sports, football, not just our teams, every team. So it just made sense. It was like, okay, let's put this out there and let's see what happens.
And with them, and with talking movies and TV shows, we still talk about that stuff even on the Sports Fury when we're live. You know, before a game, after a game, in between commercials, we'll talk about whatever the chat wants to talk about.
Yep.
You know, we don't keep it just strictly to the game itself, because like the way we see it from the very beginning, the concept was like I want people to come in there and be like, you know, they're hanging out with their friends. Like we're all just friends, just hanging out for this game.
Yeah.
And when you're hanging out with the guys, you're hanging out with the, you know, watching a game. You're not only just talking about the game that you're watching. You guys are talking about life. You're talking about a movie you guys saw, something that you're into, a video game, TV show, whatever.
Yep.
And that's something that we bring into our live streams, and it just keeps things fresh and it keeps conversation rolling with everybody watching. Yep. And yeah, so. Just a whole bunch of interest that we bring it to the channel.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. What were those first few months with the channel like and everything? Obviously, it's hard to get initial traction, but it seemed like you guys caught on pretty quick. When I looked back ahead of this podcast, I looked back through your channel, and it looks like a real explosion point for you was around the 2017 draft.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely. That was absolutely expected. Yeah. You know, when I proposed the idea of the sports channel to Sean, that was back in 2016. And for the NFL draft of 2016, I came down to Sean's place in Austin to watch the draft, as we always do every single year.
Yep.
But this time when I was coming down there, I said, I'm going to bring some equipment to record ourselves. And Sean at the time thought this was probably for our Facebook group, because we would often make videos and do skits for that.
Yeah, for our fantasy football league. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, no, this is for something else. And this is for the YouTube channel idea. And I said, you know, I think something that's very popular on YouTube is reacting. I mean, that just blows up on YouTube. It doesn't matter what it is, reacting to anything, movie trailers, opening a box, anything. Yep. It's huge. And what better way to react to something than sports live? I mean, there were some people that were doing it, but it wasn't like a huge thing. You know, there'd be like some watch parties. Mostly it would be wrestling channels that would go live for events and stuff like that.
It's true.
And I thought, man, why aren't more people doing this? And so for the 2016 draft, that's when like I really just talked over everything with Sean, and I was like, okay, so this time next year, 2017 draft, we're going to go live. Like, we're going to launch the channel way before then. We're going to launch it when the NFL season starts, right? But we're going to make a weekly topic, you know, a video that we're going to put out, just talking about topics of the week and whatever, and get comfortable talking in front of a camera, talking about topics, and just get our feet wet into doing YouTube. And then when the 2017 draft rolls around, we're going to do our very first live stream, and that hopefully will set us apart and just find us a whole new audience and just go from there. We'll see what happens. Yep. And man, that worked like a charm.
Yeah. So that then was the point when you guys were kind of all in with the channel, and you took on this new format with you guys doing these live reactions, not just to the games, but as you said, the draft. Because your content before then, it looked like it was you guys in separate locations, kind of like we're doing this now. And it seemed like ever since that point, it's basically like every video is you guys sitting side by side there, which I think adds a lot to it, is being able to be in person and have that more interpersonal interaction than when you're having the slight delay or slight talk over each other, like in Zoom or Skype, whatever was more used back then.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, because like I said, at that time I lived in Austin, and right after the live stream, me and Josh, you know, he drove back down here to Dallas, and we just we kept talking. We're like, oh my gosh, like we might have something here. And the funny thing is like I had literally just re-signed my lease, like a month before that, 2 months, for another year. And me and Josh are like, God, we need this to happen like in person. Like we need to do this more often. And just we kept talking, and Josh was like, "You got a room?" I was like, "Screw it,
get over here, man.
I gotta break my lease.
Let's go, dude. We can take this to another level. You got to get to Dallas. Screw everything. It'll be worth it."
And literally, I broke my lease. I took all my apartments. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go back down to Dallas. And
drove down here to Austin. Yeah, we moved everything in the U-Haul during a freaking storm.
God, it was a tsunami.
It was a horrible storm all the way to Dallas.
Oh my God, it was pain, man.
Worth it.
It was completely worth it.
Was there a penalty breaking the lease early, or was it something?
Yeah. Of course, I had to pay it off and stuff like that. So, yeah, they charged me a penalty, but it was worth it. You know, it was worth it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The one time I had anything like that, I was fortunate enough to catch a break that I had signed the lease, and for the date for when it was going to start, I was still like a week and a half out for when I then walked it back, so I was able to avoid a penalty in that regard. But yeah, I was curious about that. That's definitely unfortunate, but it looks like it all worked out, obviously.
Yeah,
definitely.
So with your guys' initial content, a lot of it seemed like it was based with the NFL. So I'm assuming that was the first major kind of wave of fans and subscribers and everything coming in and talking about that type of content. How difficult was it to then branch out into other sports? Like I remember we've talked in the past about branching out into something that you haven't done before, like even you guys initially kind of moving into basketball before the playoffs, I'm guessing was a little bit difficult, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. NBA was hell of a hard thing to do because we did a couple of NBA live streams and they didn't go over too well.
No.
In fact, we did a double header opening night. I think this was opening night 2018 NBA season.
I think so, yeah.
And it didn't go over very well because it's our most disliked thing. Even to this day, there's more dislikes than likes.
Yeah.
Even now, that's the only time that ever happened. And after that, we're like, dude, we just can't do NBA. People just don't like it. Wow, holy crap, this is not good. So we just completely abandoned it. But one good thing that happened during that live stream was, for a little bit, like maybe like a brief moment, like, I don't know, a few minutes, I kind of like just toyed with the idea of doing play-by-play, right? And I was just joking around and I realized to myself, I was like, man, you know what? Tell me why this is easier to do than the NFL. Like for me, it is. Like, because we would switch off in NFL doing play-by-play.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, man, NBA was just so much better. Even though, I don't know, maybe because like things that are more chaotic, more faster paced, like in my brain, that just works better for me. So like I started doing that for a little bit and I'm like, ooh, I think I could do this.
Yeah.
So I just kept that in the back of my head. We completely abandoned doing NBA live streams because they did nothing for us at all whatsoever.
Nothing.
And then the NFL season ends. And then we're going into the off season and we're doing live stream hangouts and stuff like that. And that was cool.
Yeah.
And once we got closer towards the summer and the NBA playoff starters happening, I remember like thinking after we did a hangout stream, I was like, so are we just going to keep doing live hangout streams or like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, maybe we should go live for a playoff game this weekend.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting right there by that closet and Sean's sitting right there. He was like, yeah, but like, I thought we were going to do that because they just sucked. I was like, yeah they did. But I don't know, man. I feel like we can find something. We can make it work. Like we'll just switch things up a bit or whatever.
Yep.
So we gave it another chance. Then I started doing play-by-play for it. And that was a hell of a fun thing to do.
Yep.
And people started watching them and people started liking them. And then we added the scoreboard, another element to it. And during that playoff run, wow, it really just took off.
It was amazing.
And we realized like, okay, so we had more success in that playoff run for the NBA than anything else that we've ever done previous.
It's still our most viewed streams.
Yeah.
From there.
Like one night we had almost 40,000 people watching us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was completely surreal.
Oh my God.
Back when YouTube had a live trending page, we were top 5 every single night.
Oh yeah.
So we're like, okay, not only can the NBA work for us, it actually works better for us than anything else that we do.
Yeah.
So we were excited to do the next year's NBA playoffs. And even now, NBA brings us more views, more likes, more shares, just about everything else. More than the NFL, which is insane because we mostly started, like you said, with NFL content. So it was difficult at first, but we just kept going at it. And this is advice that I give to other YouTubers, people who are starting out, and they want to get into live streaming. I'm like, guys, I mean, do it because you love to do it. And you're going to have things that are going to be bumps in the road for you. It's going to seem like it's not working, but you just got to keep it up. And hopefully you'll break through, because NBA did not work for us for a while until it just did.
For the longest time. Don't let anything detour you, You got to keep working at it.
Fair enough. Nathaniel Perez wants to know the origin of the name, the Sports Fury. Where did that originate?
Okay. So during 2016, after the NFL draft, and we're prepping for the channel, man, I must have went through so many different names, and that was so hard. That's one of the hardest things to do. Like, not making content, but like coming up with a brand, the name, a look. That's just so hard to do, because you don't want to mess it up. You want something that fits you.
Something that pops out, nothing too basic.
God, I struggled with that for months.
Yep.
And then, and the best that I ever came up with was Josh versus Sean. Like, and I
was like, that's too generic.
But it was just like, but it didn't really work because, I mean, we don't disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
It sounds more like a skit-based thing where you guys are like pranking each other or something.
Right. We would have to do some stuff like that, Like, so it didn't really work. So I'm like, okay, we got to figure out something. Then one night I went to work, and back then I was working 12-hour overnight shifts.
Yeah.
Wow.
I go into work one night, and it was one of the busiest times of the year, one of the busiest times of the month. And the whole day shift just up and left early because it was raining. So the day shift left me all this work that had to be done. Mind you, I'm on shift by myself. No one else works with me on that shift. So all this stuff had to be done. A crazy amount of paperwork, cars that need to be worked on. And I'm like, I'm pissed. I am absolutely livid that they would just leave me with all that work that had to be done by the morning. So I had to do it. I had no choice. I had to do it.
Yeah.
So I got to work in, and about like 4 or 5 hours into my shift, I barely made a dent into all the work that needed to be done. I didn't have enough time to eat lunch or anything. And then at one point, one of the cars that I was working on was completely dead. So I had to go get a jump box to jump the car. Mm-hmm. And on my way walking back to the car, I just was so pissed. I just sat down on this wooden bench that we had there. I go like this, and I'm just like, man, screw this job. I was so mad. And then I started, I got to calm down. I just got to calm down. And one of the things that would calm me down was thinking about the YouTube channel and how awesome it's going to be. It's going to be so much fun. Mm-hmm. All right. So I started thinking about names. We need to have a name. We got to have a name. And I started thinking, okay, what if we work in our personalities into the channel name? I was like, all right, so what is Sean? Like Sean's he's like a gentle little lake, right? That you skip rocks along, he's very calm and collective. He's just very chill. And
laid back,
so that's what he brings. Like, he brings a sense of calmness. And me, what do I bring? I'm like, when I just start looking at everything, all the things that I need to do that night, and I'm just mad. I'm like, I bring the fucking fury. That's what I bring. I'm like, fury. I like that. I like that. So I gotta put that in there somewhere.
Yep.
And Sports Fury, came up with Sports Fury, called up Sean. I was like, hey Sean, I got a couple of ideas for you. I want to know your thoughts on these couple of names. Let me know what you think is better.
Yep.
I was like, how about Josh versus Sean?
I was like, nope.
Dead silence.
That's too generic.
How about the Sports Fury? How does that sound?
And I loved it.
So that's that. You like that? So
like, yeah.
You think that sounds pretty good?
I think I love it. Let's do it.
All right. So you're good with that. Like, we are the Sports Fury.
Hold on. Yes, Josh. Yeah.
We're the Sports Fury. That's all right.
I think the Fury works.
That's who we are then.
Yeah.
We're the Sports Fury. We got a name, baby. Yeah. Let's go.
There you go.
That's how the Sports Fury was.
Pretty much.
Very cool. Yeah, the branding of like the Dallas Prospect was a nightmare as well. Like you said, the hardest part, it seems like, is just figuring out the name, because it's so important as well. And with Prospect and everything, I wanted to also do like sports journalism behind it as well. And so I was like, okay, I got to also make sure that it's a domain I can get and everything, and that it's not somewhere else and used in other circulation. And so I was trying to think of something that sounded like official. And like, so I was looking at like these different newspaper names around the country, and I saw something that was like the something Prospect. I don't remember exactly what it was. And I was like, Prospect, that sounds interesting. And I was like, well, that's perfect, because back then I was doing like a lot of draft profile work with Law Nation. And so I was like, we're literally looking at prospects for the draft. That's like a perfect tie-in. And, you know, a prospect is something or someone with the potential for greatness. I was like, that's literally like describing what I'm trying to do. And so I was like, all right. And obviously I'm Dallas and Dallas content, so Dallas Prospect. And I love the name, but it was when I figured out the tagline that I was like, that's it. That was the every legend was once a prospect. Once I had that, I was like, okay, we're done here. We're done. Close up shop. Actually, really start working at that point. But that was that. I still take pride in that, figuring that out, because I'm like, I still love that name. I feel like that works really well.
That's cool, dude.
But
I love it.
I can definitely relate to the weeks, months, whatever of agonizing over a name and almost not wanting to start until you know what the hell to call yourself.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Let me see. I wanted to find another question here in the chat. Big Play Slay is asking, what made you individually fans of your team? So Josh with the Bears and Sean with the Cowboys. What drew you to those teams? Is it just you grew up there, or is there more behind it?
Yeah, well, I grew up in the Dallas area. I moved here. I was born in San Antonio, but I moved here when I was 2. Pretty much always lived in the Dallas area. But I got to actually give credit to my stepdad at the time. Well, him and my mom aren't together anymore. My dad was never really into sports too much. My dad, like he took me to the Super Bowl parties and stuff like that, but he wasn't born here. He wasn't really into sports like that. He took me to baseball games, and he liked baseball, but not really football. But my stepdad at the time, that was with my mom. He was diehard Cowboys. Grew up here in the Dallas area. He collected football cards. He had a old Cowboys figurine. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Roger Staubach, Tom Landry, all those guys, all the greats lined up. Like he loved Cowboys. And at that point, I was just getting into playing Madden, PlayStation, all those games and stuff like that. And every time I'd go to my mom's on the weekends or during the summer, me and him would just play Madden, play football. He got me really into football and got me really into the Cowboys, especially. And I really give him credit a lot to getting me into the sports. And then, obviously, once I get in middle school and I start playing and I start watching it more on my own rather than with my dad or anything, that's what really got me into sports. And especially with my friends growing up too, when they started getting into football too. So I got to give credit to my former stepdad. His name was Daniel. He was a real nice dude, real awesome guy.
And for me, I get this question all the time because we're all here in Texas, and I tell people, "Hey, born and raised Texas, let's go." Mm-hmm. Whenever anyone comes in Texas, I'm like, well, Josh, you're representing Chicago teams, and you're from Texas, born and raised. How did that come to be? And the reason why is because my father, he is from the Chicagoland area. Yeah, both my parents are, and I grew up watching the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan.
It's pretty much game over there.
Yeah. Watching the Cubs games with my father. And so that's how I became to love all those Chicago teams because of my father growing up, watching those games with him. Yep. I used to love going to the sports bar to watch the Bears games because, they wouldn't show it on local TV. Sure. And that was just a great time. I love the atmosphere, going to the sports bar and seeing the fans from all these different teams and interacting with them and all the trash talking. And I was just like, yes, this is awesome. This is great. Loved it.
Yeah. So with you guys doing as many videos a week, or not videos, I mean, you do videos as well, but as many live streams as you do, as many just packed hours in the week that you guys put out content, NBA, NFL, and all of that, is there a downside in that at all, like a trade-off to that as far as like your personal lives? Because if I'm not mistaken, you both have day jobs as well, right? Or Josh, maybe you said yours was a night shift, so day job in quotations, but between your day jobs and the channel, does there not have enough room necessarily for personal lives, or is that not a problem?
Oh, it's really tough. It can get really tough sometimes.
It can.
Putting as many hours into YouTube as we do with the live streams during the NFL season when we make videos and stuff like that.
Yep.
It could get really crazy, and you just try your best to try to balance between doing YouTube and your job and your personal life. And I always tell people when they're starting a YouTube channel, I'm like, hey, one thing I could tell you, it's going to happen. You're probably going to burn yourself out if you do put too much of yourself into it. Yeah. Make sure you leave some time for yourself, for your personal life. Yeah. Take a day or two and just relax. If you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, go spend some time with them, go on a date, whatever. Because if you're not careful, you can really burn yourself out because man, it could be a real whirlwind for sure.
Oh yeah. And that pretty much Josh nailed it. Like you just got to find the balance, and make sure, we love doing this, but it can get stressful. There's times where it gets stressful. You're like, oh my God, we're exhausted. We get barely any sleep sometimes, but sometimes then we, because we love it and we know it's worth it, it pays off. But it can get very stressful. It can, but
I think lately though, the past few months, maybe a little bit more, we've been getting better at pacing ourselves.
Yes.
We don't live stream every single night. We'll take a couple of days off here and there and do nothing. Just focus on other things.
Yeah.
So that's very important.
Yep.
Fair enough. Let's see. Bubba Sportsmania Talk has a 2-part question here. He wants to know if you guys had the chance right now, would you start your own sports bar? That's question number 1.
I would love to.
Yes.
We've been talking about that for many, many years. The Sports Fairy Bar and Grill.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be something that we would definitely want to do eventually. Like we've been talking about that before we had a channel. We'd love to have like sports because
like I mentioned to you earlier. Yeah. I literally grew up going to sports bars.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of sports bars that I've gone to all across the country where, man, if I had my own sports bar, I'd do it like this and like that. Yeah. And it would be awesome, man.
And me and Josh, we talked about doing that. And we were just like, because we used to go to the sports bar Austin Avenue all the time, but we'd get so pissed off because it's in Dallas, but yet it's rented out by Steeler fans. And we can never have a seat if the Steelers are playing. That pisses us off. Yeah. So we're like, man, we wish we had our own sports bar so we wouldn't have to deal with that crap. But
He follows up asking if you guys did have your own bar, would the only fan make appearances and signings at the bar?
Absolutely. It'd be right there in the corner, just like it is now. We'll put it right in the corner, and people can come and take pictures and pose with it, whatever they want to do.
Yep.
Fair enough.
100%. I'm pretty sure that was probably Goodrich.
It was. Definitely, that was Goodrich.
Yeah. Let's see. So with you guys, this is actually from Hippie Matt here in the comments as well. He's asking how much prep goes into your live streams. Is it just kind of hit record and go and you're just working off the general knowledge from being plugged in anyway, or is there like research ahead of time as far as trends or things of that nature?
So for live streams before an NFL game or NBA game, look at the standings, look at the storylines that we could talk about, doing research, how's a player performing lately and things like that. Yeah, there's definitely research that goes into it. And for videos, definitely, like before a pick a video that we do, I'll have a whole bunch of notes just sitting here, right? So yeah, there's a lot of prep work that goes into before streams and videos.
Yeah, 100%. And the good thing is especially when we first started doing the NFL streams, me and Josh already were into doing that already because of fantasy football. Really, you have to pay attention. You have to know what's going on. And we are very competitive when it comes to fantasy football, because we had already been doing a league for 6-7 years. It's a very competitive league. So it's like that already kind of fed into that, translated over to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's the prep work of, getting the thumbnails and green screens and everything ready to go.
Oh, there's a whole learning curve just with whether it's learning how to actually run OBS or
Absolutely.
like you said, all the actual graphic work and everything that goes with it. Like it's a constant learning process.
Oh yeah. And so to anybody out there, you're like, it's just a thumbnail. Who cares? Or it's just a green screen. No. Those things need to be put together, need to be made, they're thought of, there's a process into especially if you want to like try something new, and so definitely it's a process.
So in avoiding the burnout that you guys were kind of talking about earlier that a lot of YouTubers do run into, is it something that you guys have to try and throw out different types of content every now and then, or by nature of covering so many different sports, it already kind of keeps things fresh with the watch party format?
So mainly we do, the live streams and things like that. And to be completely honest, I had a conversation with Sean on some real stuff. A couple of months ago or something, about a month ago or so, something like that.
I think so.
And I basically said to Sean, like, I would like to switch things up, not to get away from live streaming, but to do I want to add more videos to do to the channel. I love doing skits. I know Benji in the chat asked, are we planning on doing more skits? Absolutely. 100%, man. And can't wait for this summer because we're going to put some stuff out in the summer. That's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
But there's definitely that after years of doing live streaming predominantly, that we want to branch out and make more videos. I mean, this is something too that other YouTubers have brought to our attention as well, and they were right. And some of our subscribers are saying, you know what, live streams are awesome, they're great, no doubt about it.
Yep.
But maybe I want to see what else you guys could do too, like making videos, maybe do a video series about various topics and things like that, and maybe do some more skits, like Benji said in the chat.
Yep.
Definitely want to do that more going forward after doing years of live streaming.
Yeah.
Not that we're bored with live streaming, but it'd be nice to do other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have tons of different ideas that I've had for like skits that I've wanted to do, and for me, it's just figuring out the time and coordinating everything. But some of the stuff I did, like I mentioned earlier, the Austin Avenue stuff I did with you guys for the TPN segments with the job interview, that was a ton of fun to make, and that was just something quick and easy, nothing too crazy, but just the fact that we were able to actually do that like at the sports bar gave it like a more authentic feel, I think, than if we had just set it up in front of the green screen in that regard. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of fun doing that, and it's just something that the hardest thing I think is just figuring out the timing of it, at least in my experience.
Timing
is key.
Yes, try to squeeze everything in.
Yep.
I've always just been a very creative mind since I was a kid, and I love doing those skits that we do, and sometimes they're right on the fly, like right before me and Sean are about to do something, like make a video. Sometimes I just be like, "Hey, Sean, you mind like going over here for a second? Like, you want to go downstairs?" And I have this stupid idea, and then we'd film this the skit and whatever. I love doing that stuff, and I would definitely want to do more of that kind of stuff because it's so much fun.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you guys at any point considered, with this successful as your channel has been, have you guys considered going full-time into YouTube or expanding out the team in any regard, like whether it be like an editor, producer? I know with a lot of live streaming, obviously that doesn't scream editor and things of that nature, but as you're referencing having the different skits and everything, there's where it feels like it would open it up, especially as you're talking about being pressed for time. I'm just curious if that's something that you guys toyed with at all.
You're going full time?
Yeah, I have been.
Yeah, Josh.
For about a year now.
Wow. Okay.
Last March, I got laid off from my job due to COVID.
Not so nice.
Yeah, they laid me off, and I was like, well, okay, well. See about maybe getting a job here once things start, there's jobs to look for. But then I'm like, okay, well, in the meantime, I have more time, so let's make more content. Let's do some more live stream. Let's do that. And then we just started killing it
Yep.
We just started killing it, and I'm like, well, okay, well, we'll just keep writing this until I, need to go back to work because we're doing well more than fine, and it's been over a year now, and I don't need to go back to work right now. I just don't, and that was nothing that was ever planned. Like I never planned on quitting my job and going YouTube full time or whatever. It just happened. Sometimes life throws you curveballs and you just got to adjust.
Yep.
And we've been very, very fortunate with the success that we've had on YouTube that I just haven't had to go back to work.
Yeah.
For a year now.
Now, I still have my full-time job, but luckily, my job is a Monday through Friday. It's a day job, right? So we can still do the streams that we want to do, the night streams at night, on the weekends, stuff like that. So it hasn't really interfered. But yeah, it's kind of weird how when Josh lost his job, that was terrible. But at the same time, it kind of helped us because the bubble came back and we were able to stream every night, double headers, and that was amazing, right? And it was just great. But luckily, it was unreal. Luckily, my job hasn't interfered with it. But of course, like we love, I'd love to go full time and quit the job. But the timing has to be right, But yeah, of course, that's something we definitely want to eventually get to.
Benji in the chat asked if we would ever think about doing podcasts too, and on top of your question, and doing other things, a podcast would be pretty cool to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We thought about doing that. Yeah.
Would it be just like the podcast? Would it be just like an expansion of the preview videos you guys do, like for the NFL matchups each week and all of that? Like, would it be that sort of thing? Like, I know it's putting you on the spot thinking about it, this hypothetical podcast, but I'm just curious.
Well, I've thought about multiple forms of podcasts. I mean, sometimes I think, okay, well, maybe we do a sports podcast, right? We just talk about sports or whatever.
Yep.
And then I've thought about doing a completely different type of podcast, maybe just completely on my own or whatever. And then I've thought about doing a conspiracy podcast with another friend of ours. So yeah, we float around a whole bunch of different ideas. But I don't know. I don't know what will it eventually stick.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, who knows? Maybe we'll do talk movies or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ideas that we float around. Just gotta see which one we decide on. But yeah, a podcast is definitely something that's what we kind of initially. That's what we wanted to do. Kind of radio station thing. So kind of like a podcast. So
yeah. I was curious what other stuff you guys were like beyond sports, like what you would expand out into. But you mentioned a couple of them kind of there. With the film and even the more interesting out there stuff with the conspiracy theories and all of that. I know you've done a couple of streams and all that, kind of spitballing and talking with that with, what was it, Philly 500 that you
Philly 500.
I kind of remember that. I think I saw the first one. It was definitely an entertaining live stream for sure. It's interesting how you guys have actually cultivated like such a diehard fan base and everything like that. Obviously a ton of the people popping up in the chat here are people who came over from your channel and everything. And you guys have done a lot of cool stuff too. There's been times where I've been doing my own live stream and then suddenly a Sports Fury raid just launches on the channel. And I'm like, I don't know who the 47 people are, but they're all just screaming raid. So you guys are the only ones I know who have sent a raid to my live stream, but it's all positive and stuff. It was like drop a like and subscribe or something like that, and I'm like, yes, I approve of this is very good. But that's I've always been amazed with that because it's such a largely positive vibe. I think anytime I've seen your subscribers and whether I've joined you on like the WrestleMania stream we did that was like 5 effing hours long. That was the longest damn WrestleMania. I'm glad they split it into 2 nights, but it's always been overwhelmingly positive, I think, even though obviously you're going to have the interesting ones out there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've always tried to spread the love, right? Because we know how it's a grind. We always say that it's a grind, and we respect anybody that's willing to get on YouTube that puts in the work. So we always try to show that love.
There's a lot of great content creators out there that we respect and that we feel like people need to watch and check out. People like you, Darreck, of the Dallas Prospect, and so many other channels out there.
Oh yeah,
because we're all part of this sports, YouTube world, And yeah, man, I just feel like, very humbled to know people like you and others like Philly 500. And there's a lot of great people out there like Surfing the Six and Rocha, Bad Dog. And it's just an awesome community of content creators and a lot of great people out there.
Appreciate it. Whatever happened to, and I don't know if I'm giving a peek behind the curtain or not here, whatever happened to the idea of the YouTube Olympics? I remember you guys told me about that in person, that you were going to try and organize something.
I would love to still do that.
Yeah.
If we can get enough sports YouTubers together, right, when like things open up more and when they're starting to, like I think it would be really cool. Like if we got a bunch of sports YouTubers, maybe meet out here in Dallas, which is like in the middle of like the country or whatever. And we organize like this, like the huge meet and greet where a whole bunch of people can come out and meet their favorite sports YouTubers. And then we could also compete in games and stuff like that. We can play basketball, we can play baseball, play some football or something, whatever. I think that'd be awesome to do one day.
That'd be so much fun. It'd just be cool to kind of get everybody together too. So
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounded cool when you guys were talking about it. I remember it was just one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna remember that, and I'm gonna very quietly start preparing myself.
I'd be so cool. We got to do that. I don't see why it can't happen.
Yeah,
I don't see why.
Yeah,
gotta make it happen.
Matthew Goodman wants to know what it's like when there are thousands of people in your stream. Is it any kind of like, especially early on, was it overwhelming at all? Like I remember the one or two times where I had like 2,000 or 3,000 people concurrently in the stream. It was almost like, holy crap. Like I felt a little more tense in every little thing. Like I need to make sure I'm really, phrasing this and wording this and sounding like I know what I'm talking about.
Oh man. Whew. It's the best feeling in the world, man.
Yeah.
When people watch your live stream, it doesn't matter if it's like 100 people, and we're very appreciative of that,
Yeah.
And if it's thousands, sometimes where it gets to like a crazy number where you got like tens of thousands of people watching you,
That's insane.
Woo! Like that one time when we had almost 40K in the chat.
Dude, we had it on slow mode. We still couldn't keep up with it. It was crazy.
I'll tell you what it's like. It's like a huge adrenaline rush, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like unlike anything else. Like you have so many people watching you. And what's funny is that like when we record videos, it takes us a lot to record some of these videos sometimes because we'll laugh, we'll mess up the intro, and it takes us so many tries to get things going. But when you're live, for us at least, it's so much easier to be live.
It's crazy.
Way easier. And we just feel more confident in talking and everything that we're doing when we're doing it live. It's there's no safety net. There's no edits. You're there in front of a live audience. And the more people there are, when there's thousands of people, man, you just feel like this huge adrenaline rush going through your body.
And it's kind of surreal. It's just like, because Darreck, like in front of you, there's just a camera.
Yeah.
But behind that camera, it's literally thousands. And it's like, sometimes it's kind of surreal to think about that. And it is just, but it's so much fun.
And one of the things that popped through our heads is like, okay, we have this amount of people watching. So we want to do raids. We want to spread the love to other, YouTubers and things like that. Which is something that we always do, especially when we have a big audience. And it's just, we just want them to have fun and have a good time. And when they do, and they tell you like, hey, you know what? This was fun. You guys did a great job. Whew, there's nothing like that, man.
Oh yeah,
man.
Because that's the whole point. Everybody have fun. That's what it's all about. That's what sports is about. Everybody coming together and enjoying a game, good or bad, just having a good time.
Absolutely. And shout out to our mod squad who always handle it so great every single time. They're on top of things whenever there's thousands of people in the chat. Like they're on top of it. Makes things easier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys manage the kind of peaks and valleys, if you will, with that? Like, in my case, I'll have some channel or some streams where it will have several thousand views or people in there at once, and it's like, oh, sweet, I must be doing something really right. And then, like, within 2 or 3 streams, suddenly the numbers kind of plummet back to more what they were before, and you almost kind of wonder, like, okay, am I doing something wrong again? Or what was I doing right that worked there? How do you, I guess, whether it's something you've kind of had to figure out yourself or advice you would give to other YouTubers kind of coming up as well, how do you kind of measure and work through that? Manage that expectation, if you will.
Look, sometimes your streams are going to blow up and sometimes they're going to, be very chill. And it's not an indication that something you're doing is wrong. No, absolutely not. It just all depends on the flow of a game. It depends on who the team's playing, how big of their fan base is. Like, do they have a huge reach on YouTube?
Yep.
And how good is the game going to be? How close is it? Is it coming down to the wire? Is it, close in the fourth quarter? Is it going to overtime?
Yeah.
There's so many factors that determine why a stream blows up versus another one that doesn't. Yeah. And I would suggest to any other YouTubers who are, doing it, just like, when the stream blows up, it's awesome, right? But if it's not,
just gotta roll with it.
you gotta just, you still have fun, because that's what it's all about, still having fun.
And the key thing is you still have, even if you don't, versus 100, 200, 1,000, you still have people watching. You still got, and you still want to have a good time with them and entertain them and provide them. They're there to be entertained, so you got to make sure,
And like you said,
fun.
Like you said, there's a lot more streamers now popping around, and a lot of these streamers, they cover a particular team. So, so if we're covering the Warriors, right? We're doing a Warriors game, man. Look, Rocha Entertainment, he has been doing every single Warriors game throughout the entire season, and those things have been blowing up, right? So, people are going to want to go check out his reactions and go check out Valhalla, who's in the chat right now. They want to go check out his Laker reactions or Dodgers, you know, or maybe they want to see DDP's reaction when you're, if you're live streaming the Mavericks or the Cowboys.
Yep.
So, there's a bunch of factors that go into it.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Matthew Goodman wants to know, when is the gaming channel?
When is the gaming channel?
Maybe that's in reference to Sean talking about that in the past, like doing not a channel, but like doing kind of content like that, like the simulated matchup sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, we had we used to game on Twitch every Friday. Haven't really done that in a while. The gaming kind of thing. The games we like to play just kind of got dull.
I'll tell you a little bit happened. We got busy with other
too.
stuff.
Yeah, because the funny thing is like when I moved, I just moved into my new apartment about a year ago, actually. That's right when the NBA bubble came back.
Yeah.
And then that's when we started streaming every day. And then kind of like that kind of went away, So, but yeah, we just been so busy with the NBA and stuff.
Yeah. See a donation from Benji, who is one of our moderators, and real quick, he said, I just want to say you guys have done a great job so far and have been very entertaining. Also, the YouTube Olympics sounds amazing. Try to do that.
Oh, we want to.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And just remember, when one day, if you ever decide you want to play me in basketball, you're going to get destroyed. It'll be fun, but you're going to get destroyed.
Yeah. Well, I'll take you up on that. That was my jam as well.
Oh, DDP!
Oh,
You're a hooper.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if we ever do the Sports Olympics thing, I'm gonna pick DDP to be on my team. We're picking teams.
What? You're gonna drop me?
No, we're probably gonna be captains.
Oh, that's right.
If you're captains, you're on opposite teams anyway. So
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
yeah.
Man, I didn't know you balled. We got.
Hell yeah.
I did it year round all through high school. I used to do all the AAU teams and all that.
Damn.
Okay.
That's what's up.
We gotta get together and ball one of these times. When they open everything back up, man.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there were any other questions in the chat. Let's see. Is pizza eating component to this YouTube Olympics? Asks Bob Sports Talk.
An eating contest.
Yeah.
Valhalla. I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
Wait a
You
minute.
had me at
Also,
pizza.
Little Caesars.
Yo, can we do like what was that movie?
What?
The drinking contest movie.
Oh, you're talking about Beer Fest.
Beer Fest. Can we do that too?
Oh, yeah.
Can we do that?
The boot. We have
Das Boot. Yes.
Pizza boot would be very difficult to work around.
How about we start with the Beer Fest and then we get to playing?
Turn the cheese bubble.
That would be dangerous, but I like it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let's see here. Chat, if you want to pitch a couple more quick questions here as we get into the final moments here. Again, thank you guys for just jump in here. It's been awesome catching up with you guys. And I was always interested in kind of how you started, because our channels started around the same time, I think, around 2017 in that regard. So it's really been cool watching you guys grow to this point. You were already pretty well established even when I met you guys through Ari Timken, and we did the initial. I think we did it was like a season preview for the Cowboys, but then that same day we also recorded that WWE fantasy booking thing. The one random stab out there thing I did on like fantasy booking wrestling content thing, which was a lot of fun to make. Is that, I guess you guys were talking about kind of branching out and doing other content as well. Is that the sort of thing, like a retread in that regard, like whether it's like a how it should have ended kind of thing, right? Like content like that where you work in that regard of like, here's how this film should have been made, for instance. Because I feel like, Josh, that we've certainly had conversations like that in Texas before, talking about like, I was excited for this movie, but they did this, which made no sense. They should have just done this, and then it would have been perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing is like I always loved movies and TV shows and stuff like that. And when I met Josh is very, very more, what's the word? He's very more analytical. Yeah. And there's so many critiques that he goes through. And
it's so funny. Like after we'll walk in a movie, like me, Sean, and like if we're with a friend or my girlfriend, like there'll be like this this awkward silence as we're walking out of the movie theater, and then we'll go outside and they'll look at me and go, all right,
go ahead.
What do you got? I'm like, wow, that was a great movie. But and then we just start talking in the parking lot for like an hour.
Seriously, we will literally sit in the car and talk for a good hour about the movie. And like I've learned a lot about those kind of things, like, you know, being friends with Josh and stuff, and going to the movies and stuff like that, learning more of like the critiques and stuff like that, and the layout of a movie and how it should be. I've gotten more like that. I'm not as much as Josh, right? But I've noticed myself with that when I talk to my other friends, and like I'm like, or I'll tell my dad about this this show. Oh my god, this. I go. I'm like, my dad's like, I don't care. Like, jeez. Yeah. But wouldn't mind doing that. I know Josh. Me and Josh could sit.
It's a lot of fun.
Talk forever.
And I know DDP. For sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we still gotta run it back with the Godzilla vs Kong review. And
yes, I know.
Oh yeah.
I know, man.
I've had people yelling at me about Cheap Pop. I'm like, I know, I want to. Like, it's legitimately one of the things I most want to jump back to. That other channel with Cheap Pop doing a review on Godzilla vs Kong, and I actually have. I told you like. I actually got like on Blu-ray like the entire Showa era collection of the Godzilla films, and I'm like, dude, at the very least, I should do like a couple of films out of that, just because those things are so bonkers and just almost like an acid trip in their own right. When you got Godzilla doing drop kicks on
my
monsters and stuff, like it's almost just like you have to see it to believe it. So it's like I would love to do reviews and analysis of stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I know you recommended to me to watch Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla, yes.
Shin Godzilla, yes. I need to check that out still, because when I see just clips of those old school Godzilla movies, I'm like, man, I don't know. This looks crazy to me.
Those old school movies.
Yeah,
man.
I grew up on them, so there's a lot of nostalgic charm for me. But yeah, it's Shin Godzilla. It's a slow burn, but you stick with it, and the big moments are like jaw dropping, like holy shit moments. And I mentioned to you on that as well, like the director of it created like one of the more iconic like anime series. And I know you're not an anime fan, but like his work can be picked apart and like psychoanalyzed and all this stuff like to the umpteenth degree and still be interpreted different ways. Like it's just fascinating, interesting stuff. And there's a lot of thematic parallels even in Shin Godzilla there. So it was a very interesting direction, but yeah, so there's plenty that I would like to do on that, and we'll find a way to get to it. But let's see here. Hippie Matt, this question in the comments. I'm so perplexed that I am immediately want to ask. He's asking skinny jeans or Jeancos. Which would you rather?
Wait.
Skinny jeans or Jinkos?
You remember Jeancos?
Oh, I'd rather wear Jinkos. Give me the
Yeah,
Jinkos and the
bottom
skinny
pants.
Skinny jeans around here.
Yeah, no.
No.
Imagine me, a giant pale gorilla, wearing some skinny jeans. Not happening. Not happening.
Yeah.
No.
But it would be funny though.
That sounds like something that would happen if I lost a bet.
You'd have to turn in your warrior kilt.
And now everyone's gonna be like, Josh. All right, no, not the warrior kilt. It was a pair of shorts.
All right, we'll wrap up with this last question from Cam M. What is your each of you favorite movie of all time, if you got one?
Ooh, favorite movie all time. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction and Glory are my two favorite movies of all time. If you guys haven't seen Glory, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen Pulp Fiction.
Freeman.
Watch
Yeah,
Glory.
Yeah.
Mine's Godfather 2. Like, love Godfather 2. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's hard. That's my favorite, and then any other ones, it just depends on the genre, right? Really, because I like all the genres. So it's like, but Godfather 2 is just the best to me.
Yeah. Yep. This is where I look not like a filmophile, or however you would say that, cinephile. Right. That sounds better. Either way, not good when it ends with ophile. But I have not seen Godfather 1 or 2.
Darreck!
Probably going to lose me a fair bit of subscribers, but...
Blasphemy!
Yeah, I know. It's on my to-do list. It's one of those things I just haven't gotten around
But I'm hurt.
My favorite film, though, is John Carpenter's The Thing, which I did a breakdown on, because I can watch that film 100 times and notice new details. I did like an entire 3-part series, breaking down every little detail, everything, trying to put together a complete timeline of who gets infected when, and analyzing these different scenes from okay, well, this is this character's unseen motive here because this character's already turned, yada yada yada. A huge thing I did on my channel about a year ago, and that was a lot of fun to make. I actually want to go back, and we were talking earlier about doing basically a rewrite of a film, saying here's a quick review of how the film was. Now here, listen to me break down and how it should be. I want to do that with the 2011 prequel. First of all, The Thing is confusing as shit because the original is called The Thing. The direct sequel video game is called The Thing. The comic book, which also claims to be a sequel but does not jive at all with the game, is called The Thing. The prequel, 2011, The Thing. Guys, expand, differentiate a little bit. Just add a 2 or maybe a subtitle. That's all I'm asking. But the 2011 prequel was not good, and that was a lot of studio interference. So that's always one of those ones that I've had a half-written script on, here's how I would like to present it should be done, because it directly leads into the events of the original. But if you watch them back to back, you're like, I don't even believe that that's the same creature.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, you hate it when studios. That's how a lot of movies get screwed up, especially Warner Brothers. Oh my God, so many potentials, and they screw everything up.
Donnie Couch with the $2 donation says, "Are chairs better than couches?" Our very first live stream was on a couch.
It was a love seat I had. Yeah, so I like couches.
Yeah, give me the couch.
Couch, yeah. Couch is tough to work around though, to get set up with the space and everything. Even here, I've got a giant desk, but there's no way I could fit any sort of couch back here.
That's true. It just depends on what you need it for.
Yeah. Well, I think that's gonna probably do it for the time that I've got here. Guys, again, thank you for coming on. Awesome to talk with you. We'll have to do it again sometime. Thank you for everybody who tuned in as well and pitched questions. Absolutely. Thank you to the people that donated to the channel. Donnie, I think Matthew Goodman I saw as well. Benji Sports, salute to all of you guys there. And hey, Matthew Goodman also became a member. That's what's up. Appreciate it.
He's a real one, man.
Yes, he is.
And he's a huge Dallas fan, so.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, then he'll be right at home here. we're going into the playoff stretch as well here, so lots of Mavericks content coming out. And I've been a little quiet on the Cowboys front, but I'm working my way back to it and everything. And that was a channel dynamic shift for me, where the Maverick stuff really caught on, and the Cowboys stuff, that's such a saturated market talking about the team, that it was kind of like, all right, well, I only have a limited amount of energy. I'm going to put it to the one that's actually, got the turnout. And as I said earlier, I'm a more of a basketball guy anyway, so works out well for me. But anywho, guys, thank you again. If you guys haven't already in the chat, like the video, consider subscribing. And until next time, even though this isn't technically Dallas Prospect, this is Kirby Create Podcast, I'm just going to hit my tagline anyway because it feels awkward not doing it on this platform. Until next time, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Peace.